Hello, we are at UVM Campus Cumbres. Today is May 15, 2020. This is GAC014 Assessment Event 3. My name is Aileen Galinda Costa, and I'm going to talk about globalization with the focus on international trade. My ID number is UVM 41900. So, first of all, this is the agenda of the topics that we will be covering, and we'll be talking first of an introduction, and then we're going to talk about the advantages and disadvantages of globalization focused on international trade, including acquiring products, improving the company's efficiency, disruptive job displacement, inequality within countries. Then it will be followed up by a 5-minute brief discussion, then conclusion, and then the references. So, first of all, what is globalization? Globalization can be defined as the result of the increased exchange of products and services between countries, creating an international integration of the economies worldwide. This does not also result in economic consequences, but also social and cultural consequences. When did it start, this globalization? Well, the concept, the word started being used on World War II when there was a boost in the economy in the international commerce because there was a need for food and for weapons, and the adding to the technological industrial revolution that happened, this decreased in general the cost of production and of goods, and it made more popular international trade. Nowadays, globalization is more common than ever. The Trade Openness Index mentioned that global trade increased from 20% in 1940 up to 60% in 2017. So these are some statistics, but normally people tend to see globalization as something positive, but we know that we are going to prove in this presentation that it has also some negative consequences that should be addressed. So we're going to compare the positive and negative consequences of globalization. First of all, acquiring new goods. This is a very important aspect and thing to consider when talking about globalization, because it allows countries to acquire goods that are not normally available in the country. So uh, new ways of transportation that have been emerging as well are making it easier, faster, and cheaper to transport goods to other parts of the world, reaching areas even that are not normally easily accessible. So, regarding talking about countries, small countries benefit specifically of this thing because they tend to have less resources, so they struggle a lot with meeting the needs, all of the needs of all the population just with the local resources. So globalization contributes and helps them deal, so they don't have to deal with things such as shortages. So in general, there is a wide market to choose raw materials from because they are cheaper to buy from exports, and in consequence, the production is cheaper and the products come more affordable for the population. So this benefits everyone in general. Then another benefit is that regarding the companies, it improves companies' efficiency in general. Because first of all, companies are able to reach a wider range of customers and in general earn more money. Then, talking about competition, while it will be a struggle for companies to compete with so many other businesses on a global market, it turns out to be something positive because it helps companies improve their quality, variety, and production to meet the competition, and it also pushes them to innovate their products so that they continue competing in the global market. This globalization has benefited companies especially so much that nowadays companies are already emerging with the goal of becoming a global company, that it is almost mandatory for companies to think about globalization when they're starting their business. So this has also been very important to take into account technology and globalization when creating their marketing strategies, and so they surrounded all around international trade. Now, towards the downsides, one of them is disruptive job displacement. So the countries have with globalization are interlinked and are dependent of each other. While this may be positive because it pushes companies to be better, to improve, it has also many negative sides because it because countries are tend to have fluctuations in their prices and products, and they eventually have economic problems. And when they are interlinked, this problem causes of one country causes ripple effects. So it becomes a much larger problem, and it ends up not just affecting one country, but many countries as well. So this can lead to many problems. One of them is unemployment or job displacement, because and moreover, because trade and globalization leads and encourages people to buy exported products because they are cheaper. So they don't buy local products. This discourages local producers because they normally put more quality into their products that leads them to being a little bit more expensive. And people normally just will buy the cheapest product instead of buying the local one. So this reduces the national earnings or local earnings and moves the capital of the country towards a global market or international markets rather than keeping the money inside the country. This has economic downsides not just for the individuals but for all the countries. Another thing is inequality within countries. Data has showed that global inequality has been decreasing, but inequality within the countries is different. Taking, for example, the USA, it has been registered that the wage inequality in that country is between 10 and 20%. So, um, so there is this is a very high number, even though it seems small when talking about money is something big. And technology and globalization has caused an increase in the demand for high-skilled workers. What is the negative side of this is that low-skilled workers or people that don't have many education um, are are losing their jobs or are being unemployed, or they are even struggling more to change of area, because with globalization also there is a lot more need for certain areas, labor areas rather than others. So these people struggle a lot and they are less capable of changing of working area. To fight this inequality, many countries have done taxes and welfare systems towards helping those people, but this is still not enough. So before going to the conclusion, I would want to make a brief discussion, and I would want to ask the audience, what do you think about the thesis statement of the presentation, that there are a lot of disadvantages as well as advantages of globalization?
Can I answer?
Yes.
Well, I think that truly there is something that does work with globalization, and is that many businesses can grow even faster than they did before. But culture integration is a very, well, not hard topic, but it's something that is happening a lot now because of, just as I already said, the expansion that there is around the world, not just of economy or of different businesses, but also because of mainly different different people who are, well, not just people, the whole culture of different businesses are expanding to other countries, which is affecting the cultures of the host countries.
Yes, like you said, I agree with you. Has been a lot of cultural consequences, cultural and social consequences of globalization, and these have to be taken into account, obviously. Do you have any questions?
I have one question.
Yes.
Can you repeat how globalization affects inequality?
Yes. Their globalization affects on the negative side inequality within the countries because along with technology it causes that there is more need for people with higher education or more skills or a certain area like areas of technology of marketing, etc. So people from other areas or people that are not that don't have enough education are losing their jobs, or and also technology has replaced work that was before done by people with machines, so this is also displaced jobs, and it has caused obviously a lot of struggle for people. Any more questions?
I
I
have a
have one.
question.
um Sophia?
The consequences of globalization for companies are more negative or positive?
Well, there are a lot of factors that have to be taken into account when talking about companies, but especially for the focus that we use today of international trade, it was seen that for companies there were much more positive consequences and positive effects because it helped boost their economy, their profits, their efficiency, and it gave them an access to a wider market and a greater chance to improve, to grow in general. So for companies it's more positive effects.
I have a question. In your opinion, do you think that globalization has gone too far, or is it okay the extent it has?
I think that right now it's not a thing of whether it has gone so far or not. It has just expanded as the need grows. It's like the natural thing to happen because as technology advances, it becomes easier for to do trade between countries, and naturally it is done because it is cheaper to get products, and both countries receive benefit if you export or if you input products. So it is not like too much. It is what the consequence, and it has negative consequences, but I don't wouldn't say that it is too much. I have a question for you, the audience. Do you think that these negative consequences are really that much important or are not really important of globalization?
May I answer?
Yes.
Well, I believe in his big deal. It has have well a negative impact, as you said, by the inequality, since globalization sometimes economically offers goods to different countries, but with the use of, for example, taxes, I believe not everybody can, well, pay for them, and there's the inequality. So I believe it is a big deal since, here in our country, most of the population is middle class or even lower class.
Okay. Yeah, I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. Unfortunately, we don't have any more time for more questions. We're going to wrap up the points with this conclusion. So, from this presentation, we can conclude that globalization has completely transformed the way the economy nowadays functions, and new economies are interconnected and they are dependent of each other. And while this may bring many advantages that are needed, it has many disadvantages that have to be addressed. Some of the advantages are the availability of resources, the efficiency of companies, and that it boosts their economy as well. But some of the downsides are that globalization does not benefit all countries equally. Some of the countries are even affected by it, and it does not benefit the whole population either. It affects some sectors of it in negative ways. So, what we can get from this is that globalization is something essential, is something that is already part of our daily lives, and it's not something that can just be taken away. So the recommendation is for companies and for countries to deal individually with their specific problems regarding globalization and international trade rather than taking away or going against globalization as a whole, because that is just not possible. It is not something, it's not the best solution. So here are my references, and thank you for your attention.